What's up with you, bro? Chuck, what up? What's up with you, bro? Marley. Waiting on Mike to get on here. Sammy, what up? Big time, what up? Chilling, man. Waiting on Mike. Coach, what up? Mike is on here. Get him on here.
My brother.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, buddy. Good
Man,
seeing you, man.
man, likewise, man. Likewise. The goat
Yes,
in the
sir.
flesh.
Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. I'm honored to be with you, man. And thank you for having me on tonight, man, today.
Man, I appreciate you taking your time out, man, and getting on here, man. I know how extremely busy you are, your family, man, all that. So I appreciate it, man, more than anything.
No, T. No, it's my pleasure, man. And me and you have had from a distance, love for each other. So, it was a pleasure when you invited me.
No doubt, no question. But look, man, I'm about to because there's a lot of young guys that's gonna get on here and it's getting on here. So I got to give you your just doing this intro. For those of you who don't know, everybody know who you are, man. But we'll start on the basketball level. On the basketball level, to me, I've said it in every conversation I've been in, the greatest player from Columbus, Ohio. Um, and I think the accomplishments in your resume speaks for itself, man, from being an all-star, all-NBA, an Olympian, averaging 20 for your career, averaging 27 at one point, man. I think you're the best basketball player from our city. And that's no disrespect to anybody else. You know, I didn't see the Ed Ratliffs and the guys before us, but what you did inspired, our whole generation and everybody after us. So I just got to get that part out the way, and we'll talk a lot more about that. But for all these young guys that's on here, man, if you're from Columbus, this is the GOAT right here, man. So I'm going to just say it. He's humble. He's not going to say it, but I'm going to put it out there. You the GOAT, man.
No, I'm honored, Tyhan, man, that you even say that, man. We've had so much talent come to the city over the last 70 years, 60 years, man, and just been proud to represent our city, man. And it's no matter where I go in the world, I'm always mentioning our city, and I've had to defend our city a lot of times and a lot of arguments with a lot of players from New York, Chicago, LA, and really try to represent our city, man, and put our city on the map, man. But we've had tremendous players over the years, including yourself, man, including yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate
I
it.
wanted no parts of you when you played, probably. So, I mean, you are in the line of the heritage that we have in Columbus, man, and it's a deep, deep heritage we have in basketball when it comes to basketball here.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll say this. I was going to start it off. I kind of want to go chronologically with your story, but I'll say this. You were one of the first NBA guys that I got a chance to play against as a youngin', and obviously, I felt how I felt now about you then. But I remember licking my chops to try to be able to just guard you or go at you for any play. But, man, in the course of the game, I think we were like in the New Covenant League or something like this. In the course of that game, it was one of the first times that I was on the floor with a guy, and I was like, this is another level. And it's all pros on the floor at this time, but you are on another level, man. And we'll talk a lot more about that as this interview goes, but I could feel it. That was one of the first times I could feel it while I was playing. And that's incredible.
Wow.
We'll talk a lot about that in your work ethic and all of that, but I just wanted to let you know that.
I appreciate it, man. I mean, if you could survive Columbus, you could survive anywhere.
Absolutely.
And when you mentioned that, man, it was again a lot of talent during my era, and we had to survive, man. And so you had to get better. You had to work hard. You had to do the things you needed to do to kind of put yourself above the rest. But it was really hard in our city to do that. And
Definitely.
so much talent, man. But no, I appreciate you saying that, man. I really, really, really worked hard at
Definitely.
basketball, man.
Definitely.
So
So start off, man. Give me some of your background, man, in terms of where you came up at, family structure, and how and when you fell in love with the game.
yeah, at birth, basically. Born about that. Born here in Columbus, Ohio, and grew up on the hilltop, west side of Columbus, which has a lot of great
Shout out to
players
the
as well.
hilltop.
Absolutely, shout out to the hilltop. So born and raised on the hilltop, and with the ball. Sorry about that, Tom. But yeah,
That's all right.
my dad basically put the ball in my crib, and fell in love with the game around 4, 5, 6, 7. Watching NBA basketball, and I remember at 8 years old, man, I was telling my mom and dad that this is what I'm going to do at some point, and they looked at me and said, "Oh, okay, sure." Not that they didn't believe in me, but like as an 8-year-old, I was so confident and sure that this was what I was going to do, and it was non-negotiable. So at that point, so yeah, grew up on the hilltop, went to West High School, went to Westmore Middle School, went to West Broad Elementary School, John Burroughs, and then made the decision to go to the Ohio State University. And that wasn't a hard decision, actually, being recruited from all the schools around the country.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to stay home and let my mom do my laundry. So that's what it.
100. Smart man. Smart man.
Yes, brother. So
Hold on. Let me stop you
yeah,
real quick, Mike.
sure,
Because I want to touch on something real quick in high school.
sure.
I was a freshman the year after your freshman year in college. So I just
Okay.
missed you guys, right?
Yep.
And how I came up, I really didn't watch high school basketball. I heard you guys' name. I didn't really watch high school basketball until I got to high school. All that said, your senior class was really special. I want you to touch just for a second on you guys versus Independence and whoever else was like a big rival for you guys.
Yeah.
And also, I want you to touch on Kevin King a little bit, man.
Absolutely.
He doesn't get mentioned enough. Can you touch on those two topics?
Wow. I can't even mention just Independence in West High School. I got to mention the Jawanza Moores. I got the Cordell Thurmans at Warner Ridge. Steve Sensenball and Aaron Turner, Andre Turner, and you got Poppy at East, and you got William Avery, Al Moore. You had Kyra Massey at that time, who was unbelievable. You had Chris Meade. You had Bert at South. You had Virgil Wright at Briggs. You had Doug Davis at Westland.
At Westland, yeah.
Everywhere you looked, and obviously Independence, you had obviously two of the best to come out of Columbus, especially at that time, almost ever, even with Kenny Gregory and Esteban Weaver, who were dear friends of mine. So across the board, across the city, you had Antoine Lavender at Brookhaven. You had Sean Fountaine at Beechcroft. So it was a cluster. I don't leave anybody out. But it was a lot of great players that came out of the city league at that time, Columbus that time. I think at one point we had, 4 or 5 out of the top 6 players in the state playing in the city of Columbus, Ohio at that time.
Incredible.
So every game was packed, every game was crowded, and Kevin King, obviously I have to throw his name in there because he was one of the best players to come out of the city at that time. Just a tremendous athlete who did multiple sports. And so Kevin was, me and Kevin actually fought over my number in middle school. Not fought literally, but we were grabbing jerseys, and he wanted 22 and I wanted 22. And I wound up grabbing that jersey out of the bag first before he did, and he wound up taking 24. But Kevin was unbelievable. He averaged 24 points a game this senior year. Great scorer. And then you had the generation behind us with the Isaac Jeffersons and uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned little Andrew Lee. Andrew Lee, then you had Andrew Lavender coming
Mm-hmm.
in that generation, and obviously the Jared Sullingers and I know I'm missing Leverts and I'm missing a lot of people, but it's been an incredible last 25 years run, including yourself. But that senior
Definitely.
class is special.
It
That
was.
time was special.
And for me, like I said, a guy that didn't grow up like on the high school scene, not having a father or taking me, you guys sparked it for me. Like that's when I was coming in. I heard about, and I saw you. The first time I saw you play actually was in the Worthington League, and you know, obviously, Kenny was in the McDonald's.
Yeah,
Esty was who he was. You know, he's the people's champ to me. He's, you know, what can you say about Esty?
right.
Um, but I didn't. I heard about you, but I never saw you. So then I saw you that day, and I was like, you was killing in the Worthington League, and then obviously you go to Ohio State. You can take it from there, your freshman year.
Yeah, it was really motivating to be coming up at that time. I got a shout out to John Wharton too at Whetstone,
Mm-hmm.
who was dominant at that time as well. But uh, like Kenny and Esteban really motivated me incredibly. My freshman year, I think Esteban was the number one freshman in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad threw a magazine on my bed with him on the cover of it, and he said, "That's the standard." And at that time, I was knock-kneed, peanut head kid on the west side of Columbus, and no one really thought that my game um, would be what it became. But I had an inner belief in myself that I know there's great competition out there, but I eventually, at some point, I'm going to catch up, um,
Definitely.
and if not surpass. And that was the goal I had. And then obviously playing against Kenny our sophomore year and how athletic he was, I said, wait a minute, it's a different level
Unreal.
of athleticism. It's unreal.
Unreal.
And it made me go back into the lab, and I played every single day, Tahan, every day, whether it be at Westgate Park on the west side, whether it be Orton Davis, whether it be, Ashburn Youth Center, which is where
Mm-hmm.
really I really began to hone my skills uh, in that gym in the church on the west side. And then I hit the genetic lottery and grew maybe 5, 6 inches in between my sophomore year and junior year, and then it was on, and I was able to
Mm-hmm.
catch up. And then me and Esteban was on the same AAU team, all Ohio, all Ohio Red, and spent 2 years together in the summertime, and had a chance to watch him and play against him and get better by playing with him and against him in practice and whatnot. And so we all went to the McDonald's. We went to the Nike All American camp
Mm-hmm.
between our junior year and senior year, and I had a chance to spend time with those guys, man. And we developed a great friendship, brotherhood at that time. And the games were just intense, man, and just unbelievable during that stretch.
So let me ask you this. So you go fast forward a little bit. You're a freshman at Ohio State. Obviously, all of that fierce competition from the city league, your neighborhood, has you prepared to do what I haven't seen done in the Big Ten since you, and go your 20. You averaged 22 your freshman year
Yeah,
at Ohio State.
yeah, yeah, man.
Incredible. For me, real quick, for me, it was like a transition because, the old regime was leaving and you were like the cog that kept it together until, O'Brien got his guys in there, and then, you can go from there.
Yeah. No, shout out to Trey Burke as well,
My
in his
dog.
career as well. Um, just talent everywhere. The more I think about it, man. The Gary Trents, Samaki Walkers, Antonio Daniels. I got to shout them out as well, man. I mean,
You
Tony
don't stop.
Rice, Tom
Calvin
Fagan,
Booth.
Carlos Davis,
Yeah.
Lamont Barnes. I mean,
All
Calvin.
of them.
I mean,
You
on
don't
and on and
stop.
on. I mean, my goodness,
You don't stop.
Curtis Simmons, Ed Jenkins.
Yeah. You don't
You
stop.
know, you don't stop. So as they come to my mind, I'm gonna keep shouting you out.
Sure.
But yeah, man. After leaving uh, high school, me and Kenny spent a lot of time together in the summertime of our senior year going into college, and just worked on our games. And so wound up going to Ohio State. And one of the main reasons why I went to Ohio State was to see that program resurrected from where it was. We
Absolutely.
hadn't been good since Jimmy Jackson had left. Um, and so I wanted to come back and see that program get back to where it should be, where it could be. And that was part of the motivation of going there. But I was thrown into the fire my freshman year. And Coach O'Brien, I played, I think, maybe 39 to 40 minutes a game, pretty much the whole game, every game. And so just threw me in the fire and see what happened. And learned a lot that year from playing that much from the Big Ten, the different levels from high school to college. It was a transition, the physicality, the speed. But again, I walked in with super confidence and belief in myself that I could not only play well, but also like excel.
No
And
doubt.
so lo and behold, we wind up having a rough year as a team, but individually, wound up leading the league and scoring. And I wasn't trying to. I was just playing and having fun and learning a lot in that process.
But you know what? It's just, and we'll touch more on your work ethic as we go on. But me knowing, having a little inside peek, I know where it came from. You know where it came from. We know what your foundation is spiritually.
Sure.
We'll touch on that as well. So it's a combination of all those things. So you have this great success. You lead the league in scoring, which is crazy as a freshman. And then you get Scooney Penn and George Reese and some of these other guys that come in with you. Tell me, obviously we know that sophomore year you guys go to the Final Four. Tell me your thought process coming into that year, like coming into the preseason and everything, working out with those guys. What were the thoughts as a collective?
Well, there was confidence that we were going to be better. There was nowhere to go but up. We were 8-22 my freshman year, 1-17 in the Big Ten. But when I got there, I missed like 6 or 7 guys who got kicked off the team when I got there. So we were depleted going into my freshman year. And then there was a confidence knowing that we had, Scooney coming. Yep. I knew how great Scooney was in practice every day in my freshman year. And I said, once we get this guy, we're going to be really, really good. And then we had, like you said, George Reese, who was great in high school and then wound up having an excellent career in college. And then you got Brian Brown coming in. Yep. And then you had Boban Savovich, and then you had other great players. And so we had an army coming in to help us kind of get better. And we made the biggest jump in as far as win totals in the history of the NCAA. We went from literally one of the worst teams in the whole NCAA to being one of the top 4 teams in the nation the following year. So it hasn't been done, and we're very proud of that. But that whole summer, we were motivated. We trained. We worked hard. Scooney and I were just leading the charge as far as being in the gym every day, and we were making a vow that freshman year wasn't going to repeat itself.
I want to make sort of a plug for what I do real quick, and we'll come right back. The Worthington League was such a staple for guys back then. So like that was my introduction to a lot of players. Scooney, nobody knew well. I mean, unless you're a basketball head and you knew what he did at Boston College, a lot of people from Columbus didn't really understand how good he was. When he came to the Worthington League, he destroyed everything. It was like personal. He wanted to show everybody in Columbus, like, y'all get in the gym next year. So what I do with the Kingdom League is reminiscent of what the Worthington League was, but from the standpoint of I try to use it as a platform for guys to be able to come in and compete at the highest level and show and prove. You know what I'm saying? And that's what when you talked about that year going in, I could just remember that summer of how you guys were really getting to it. And you could see, anybody who knows the game could see, like, you guys were going to have a special year. So I wanted to say that. But let's go on to, so now you guys go to the Final Four. You have huge success. Like you said, you did something unprecedented. You had the biggest jump in wins. Tell me about your junior year, your last year at Ohio State. Like, what was the goals? And you guys pretty much figured you would win the national championship?
Yeah, shout out to J.J. Sullinger as well. I mentioned Jared, but J.J. was part of that group with Antoine
and his brother. They all played.
Yep. Shout out to that family and coach and what they've been able to do in the city as well. Interesting. You mentioned the Worthington League. I can't just fast forward, the Worthington League was it. It was it, man. I had been playing in the Worthington League since my junior year in high school, maybe. And I played with Antonio Daniels for a couple years in the summer league, and he taught me a lot, man. All the pros would come to the Worthington Summer League. Nick Van Exel, Jimmy Jackson,
Yes.
Ryan Harper, Dennis Hobson, all the great players in the NBA would come and play in the Worthington League. And so it was a pleasure to play in that league, and that's where I got better. There was no question. Like we were getting ready. It was like another season.
Definitely.
The Worthington League. And so if you didn't bring it, you were going to be embarrassed. And your reputation began to develop at the Worthington League as well.
Sure. For sure.
So,
you definitely got a name.
Great times. It was packed every game. Fans would come out, and I'll never forget those times. And it was fun. And so fast forward to my junior year, the whole purpose of coming back to school was to win a national championship, to your point. And back then, it was a different mentality of more pride in winning a national championship and a Big Ten championship, more so than leaving school early. If I was going to leave school early, I showed up after my freshman year.
Yep.
Me and Larry Hughes was like the 7th pick in the draft that year, the year I could have left. And a lot of scouts said you would have been a top 5 pick, after your freshman year. So, but we were more focused on team success and wanting to win a national championship. And unfortunately, it didn't happen our junior year. But we did win a Big Ten championship that year. And at that point, it was like I've accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish. I went to the Final Four, won a Big Ten championship. Only thing I didn't accomplish was win a national championship. But I knew my time was up, and I had to move on to pursue my dreams with the NBA.
And I'll say what you touched on a little earlier of restoring that program. You guys definitely did that. That '99 team put Ohio State back on the map, man, in so many ways. Coach O'Brien was able to bring in so many big time recruits. So you definitely you achieved the goal that you set out for, So I appreciate that as a Columbus basketball head and, Ohio State fan. So I definitely appreciate that. So, all right. So you have a great, an illustrious career at Ohio State and go to the draft, talk about that process. And then, you go second round. How did you feel about all of that?
Yeah, it was a really challenging moment for me because I was wanting to be in the first round, be a top pick, and it didn't happen. I wound up being a late second round pick, and my thought process shifted the night of the draft. And my father told me something that I'll never forget. He said, "It's not about the position, but it's about the position." And at the time, I didn't want to hear that. I was like, "Man, I'm mad, I'm frustrated," but I understood what he was saying in the sense where it's not about where you get drafted, it's about where God has you ultimately. And I was like, okay. Yep. So my mindset shifted to the next day. I called my agent and said, I'm about to work out like I never worked out before in my life. And I ran the hills over at Hoover. Me and Lawrence Funderburk. Shout out to Lawrence as well for being a huge influence on my life early in my career. But yeah, just worked hard like a demon, man. Just worked out every day, trained. And it was the perspective shift from being angry from how late I got drafted to actually like I'm in the league though. I'm actually here.
Yeah.
I'm in, and so just privileged to be in the door. And I've learned that life is not without challenges. It's how you see the challenge, right? More than anything, your perspective, your prism towards what you're facing is the issue. So for me, it was like I'm in and I'm going to Milwaukee to be behind one of the great 2 guards in the league at that time, to be a Ray Allen. Yep. So my mentality was to get to Milwaukee and absorb as much as I could. I had Glenn Robinson there. I had Sam Cassell, Tim Thomas, Ray Allen, obviously, like I said, great coach in George Karl. So I had a tremendous opportunity to not only be in the NBA, but grow to be a great player. And so that whole rookie year, man, was just, although I didn't play as much, it was a great year of development and growth, and I enjoyed it.
It's incredible because your freshman year, you get thrown in the fire, you get to play, learn on the job. Your rookie year of the NBA, you get to sit, learn, and work.
Yeah.
And both instances it worked out for you. That's an incredible dynamic. So you're soaking up the game from some of the best that ever did it, one of the best coaches. anybody that knows your game knows that you were more of a slasher in high school and college. And
Yeah.
then out of seemingly to us who wasn't there watching you put the work in, it seemed like overnight you became one of the best shooters the game has ever seen. Can you walk us through that process and what made you understand that you needed to put that in your game?
Yeah, I fooled a lot of people over the years because they just deemed me as a great shooter, and it was like, nah, I'm actually a scorer.
Right.
But my son, even man, we joke to this day. I was like, Daddy was a slasher dunker. He was like, really? I was like, yeah, that was my game. Free throw line and in was my territory, and it wound up in the NBA being my territory a little bit too, but that just got overshadowed by the 3-point shooting.
Right.
But yeah, man, I got to the Milwaukee Bucks my rookie year, and George Karl challenged me on my shooting. He said, we are a shooting team. He told me verbatim, he said, shooting guards have to know how to shoot. And because my game was slashing, dunking, getting to the rim. And he said, no, you gotta convert into a shooter as well. So I had great shooters, like I mentioned before, Lindsey Hunter, Sam Cassell, Tim Thomas, Glenn Robinson, Ray Allen, learning from those guys day in and day out. So Ray was the master at 3-point shooting.
Yep.
Sam Cassell and Glenn Robinson were masters at the mid-range.
Yep.
So I learned both dynamics from all three of them, and kind of became this shooter, you know. And one of the major reasons too was I learned that the athleticism was different in the NBA compared to college.
Definitely.
So my rookie year, I'm trying to dunk on big guys, and I couldn't do it. And
they weren't good.
No, I had to learn how to shoot that ball. Plus the pounding that you take by a Shaq, by a David Robinson, by a Pat Ewing at the time, by a Keem Olajuwon, by Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason. I'm getting hit, and I had to learn, son, to have a long career, you got to learn how to shoot and be more efficient from the outside, because you can't get inside as easy as you used to. And so I began to adapt my game and pivot.
Cool. Well, now this is kind of where I want to touch on your work ethic. So around this time, I was blessed to be able to be in the gym with you a couple times and see you really put in the work. And I tell this story, and if Trey's on here, shout out to Trey Burke, because if there's anybody I've seen with a work ethic like yours, it's Trey. So shout out to Trey. And we were talking about this not too long ago. I watched you do this drill. You came in and you got warmed up and you was taking these shots. You were just shooting real high, like you were trying to get your arc together or something. And then you told Coach, and then we were at Ashburn, and you were like, all right, I'm ready. So you did this drill where you shot like 20 shots in each spot, in like 5 spots. And I saw you go. I saw you go like 18 for 20.
You're fine.
18 for 20, 19 for 20, 20 for 20. I saw you go 17 for 20, and you were like, nah, we gotta do that again. Start over. I'm sitting there looking like this guy is starting over at 17 for 20. At that moment, I knew it was a completely different level that you was operating on in your work ethic. And honestly, it inspired me and it sparked me to always want to work hard. And anybody that I trained over the years or was able to have my hands on, I always remember that. And I tell a lot of people that story. But that was, where did you get that level of, nah, that's not good enough. 17 for 20, that's insane.
Oh, man. Great question. Shout out to Torrey Kellum and also Leon Rogers as well, at Walnut Ridge and at Eastmore, respectively. Those guys are terrific high school players. But, man, the state, I was watching all these great players. Obviously Ray Allen every day. Watching the Kobe's and Latrell Sprewells and Allen Houstons at the time, watching their pregame routines and asking questions my rookie year, and watching all those great players and Mitch Richmonds and on and on and on, and just realize that there's a high standard. And I always try to simulate a game situation. And so it got to the point, Tahan, actually, where I had to make 8 out of 10 all net. If it hit the rim, and Keith Neal career.
My alarm went off. And I hope it didn't interrupt. Say that again for these young boys that's on here.
Yeah, I was 8 out of 10 all net. I couldn't hit the rim, no matter if I went 10 for 10. If it hit the rim, it didn't count. And so, because I knew what was required in the game, a certain level of efficiency and precision that you needed, because you had a split second to get a shot off
Definitely.
before it might get blocked or get stolen. Because I would normally play against guys taller than me. I was 6'6", but I had 6'8" guys guarding me, so I had a split second to get it off. So me and Keith Neal really worked hard on speed of release. Speed of release, not only being efficient as a shooter, but also the speed of how fast I can get it off. And so thank you for reminding me of that, man. I think I made 63 pointers in a row one time at the Ash.
And this is NBA 3. The Ashburn got the NBA 3. This is
Yeah,
not no
yeah.
college 19 feet. No, this is real deal.
Yeah. I mean, me and Neil would keep records on the walls at the
Yep.
Ashburn.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
they had
remember that?
all the records,
Yeah,
the free throws,
yeah,
the jump rope, everything. And I want to
yeah.
say this, too, for everybody watching that's working on their game. And let me shout some people out, man. Shout out everybody on here. Shout out Josh Bostic, man, one of the GOATs. Trey, of course. Everybody on here, man. Everybody on here. Reese, Low, I see you. Everybody. But another thing, all the young people on here, all the athletes on here. So I work with Coach Neal a few times, and the standard to being in shape was 10 and 60s. You remember 10 and 60s?
Yeah.
So 10 and 60s are you got 10. Now this is an NBA regulated court, so this is 94 feet. So
Yeah.
you got to hit 1, 2, 3,
Wow.
10 up and backs in 60
Yeah.
seconds. You get 60 seconds rest, and you right back out. And we used to have to do 5 before we worked out every time. I'm telling you, he said this NBA shape. Mike do this. Gary Trent do this. I'm like, oh my! It took me about a week to really get it and be like, all right, I can do this. But when I got on that court, forget about it. So I appreciate you, man, for setting. And you didn't even know, but man, you set the standard and you inspired us to work, man. My generation, anybody I had influence on, like you the big homie for all of that, man, for real.
Nah, man, I honor you for that, man. I appreciate you, Tyhan, man. And you were driven, when you played, and even now, what you do now for young people and how you live your life, man. You've been a tremendous example in this city, and I've seen that from afar. And just proud of you, man, carrying on the legacy. That was the thing I wanted to kind of just bring back to the city too, man. Like guys who worked out with me. I had a number of guys. Shout out to Devin Green.
Devin Green, my dog.
That's my guy, man. I owe him a call anyway. But we worked out together in the summers together a lot. Number of guys throughout the city. We worked out together. Leon Rogers worked out with me. Kenny Gregory worked out with me. And we be able to see the level of training that it took. Now, for me, it was a transition for me from my workouts to actually working out then with Kobe. So between 2006 and 2008, me and him worked out the off season together every summer. And there's a focus I have now that's getting on my eyes. But there was another level of training, man, that I learned from him. Now, Kobe and I got real close at that point and had a tremendous respect for each other's games. And I remember one story in particular. We had hung out all night. We would hang out, me and him, and had dinner and hanging out, talking about life. And we were at the Venetian I think it was Macau or Guangzhou in China.
Guangzhou, that's my favorite city in China, man. I love Guangzhou.
You know.
Yes, sir.
But I learned, man, and so just a quick story. So we hang out all night long, man, and just having fun talking about life or whatever. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning with my trainer. I said, let's go down to the gym and hit the weight room. I get down there, and Kobe had been down there from between 45 minutes to an hour. I walk into the weight room. He was like, where you been? I was like, brother, I was asleep. What you mean? It's 5:30 in the morning. I want to be the leader and help lead our team, be a leader by example, whatnot. Right. He said, nah. He said, I've been down here since 4:30. Like this is, and I learned, and we worked together for 3 years, man. And the training, I got so much better working out with that guy, to where the game really became even easier during that period of time. Like it became so slow and so easy. And we did defensive drills, we did shooting drills, which he used to get mad at me for because I used to beat him in shooting drills all the time. That was the one strength that I had over him. But play one-on-one, play hard, man, and just
Mm,
learn so much from him, man. And
mm.
we were peers, but I was learning from him, and he was a tremendous influence over my career as well as I begin to get older.
So let me stop you because in my notes I need a story about Mike,
Easy.
Brian, and Kobe. But
All right.
we'll catch back up to that.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say this on live in front of everybody. I need some of them drills too. You know I work guys out. I need you to pass
Easy.
me some of them drills. My
Easy.
dog.
We gonna reconnect after this too.
All right, bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So look, so I'm glad you brought up 2006 to 2008. Anybody who don't know, you were at this time, you were at your pinnacle. You were an all-star. You were all NBA. Nobody could check you. Rest in peace to Kobe. You had like 45 on Kobe. You had like almost 60 on the Jazz. I remember all of this, right? So I read this book, The Gold Standard by Coach K, right?
Yeah.
You ever get a chance to read it?
Of course.
Good book, right?
Yeah.
So what jumped out to me? What jumped out to me is within the first 10 pages, he's just talking about how he's meeting everybody and setting the culture and setting the goal what he described as the gold standards for this team, the Redeem team. So what he said about you is he told a story. You had to meet Jerry Colangelo, and correct me if I'm wrong. You had to meet Jerry Colangelo in Chicago, and you drove directly from practice in Milwaukee straight to Chicago. And he said you met Jerry Colangelo in like a warm-up, like one of the Bucks warm-ups or whatever. And he said you had a bag on your shoulder, and you came in and you were like, do you mind if I go change real quick? He said, yeah. Came back in the suit, and you was like, all right, let's do this. And that blew his mind. He was like, man, it just spoke to the character. He was like, out of everybody that they met, you just stuck out the most. Your character, obviously your game, but your character, who you are, how you represented yourself. And obviously, anybody that knows you're a man of faith, you're a man of God, you're a great character guy. But I just felt like that was incredible. I'm reading that, like, for him to say, like, out of everybody that's on that team that stood out to him,
wow.
I appreciate that just as much, who you are off the court. And give us some insight on, where that comes from.
Shout out to Jeff Gibbs before I move forward too. Great player. East High School. Interesting. It was a surreal moment for me. More than any other athletic achievement in my career, to be asked to represent the U.S. In the Olympics. So I had to really honor that moment. In my mind, I'm the kid from the west side of Columbus. It was interesting because in the Last Dance documentary, Michael Jordan was Mike Jordan in high school and college, and he shifted to Michael Jordan. And it was similar for me, man, where people in Columbus knew me as Mike Red in high school, and then obviously a little bit in college, but then it shifted to Michael Red once I got to the NBA as my game took off, man. But it was a surreal moment to be asked to represent our country, to be in the Olympics, and to be with the greatest players in the world. How did I get here? And so I wanted to honor that moment by approaching it from a professional standpoint. And so I did. I came up in warm-ups after practice to meet with Jerry Colangelo, who was the president over basketball operations with the USA basketball program. And I wanted to change. Before we got into the conversation in the interview, I wanted to change my clothes and get into a suit and really respect and honor the fact that he was asking me to be a part of the team. A surreal moment, man, in my life. And so, yeah, that was the backdrop of that story, man. I really wanted to respect and honor him in the moment.
Huge.
And yeah, it was huge. And then it was surreal. I mean, the whole Olympic moment was just,
give us some insight on that team and on that trip.
Yeah.
What did you learn about any of the guys? Did you guys ever feel like, especially in that championship game, did you ever feel like it could slip through you guys' hands, or what was the mindset?
Yeah, it was really unique, man. It was the best players in the world. Like I mentioned earlier, you had young LeBron, young Chris Paul, young Dwight Howard, Tayshaun Prince, on and on, Dwayne Wade, Jason Kidd. I mean, it was Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer, Chris Bosh, myself, Kobe. It was unbelievable. Practice was incredible. We all had respect for each other's games. And it was surreal, some of the things I saw in practice. I'll tell you a couple quick stories about practice. Kobe was having a difficult practice in Vegas. And so I'm guarding him. I get hit with a screen, I think by Chris Bosh. And then I think Tayshaun jumps out to try to jump the screen. Kobe splits the double team, jumps off the wrong leg and dunks on, I think, Carlos Boozer. And Coach K ends practice. Like, that's the end of practice.
Right leg off the right leg, left leg.
Just unbelievable athleticism. And then LeBron, we were in China. LeBron was having a rough practice. And he gets the rebound in transition, and I pick him up. And I'm looking around like, no, I'm not picking this monster up. Somebody, Tayshaun, where you at? Like, and he's coming full speed. He was having a tough practice. Coach K's on him. Again, I get hit with a screen. He splits the double team and comes down and dunks. I think it was on Carlos Boozer again.
Boozer was getting it bad.
He was getting it bad. Yeah. And just destroyed the rim. And Coach K said, end of practice. Great job, guys. Bring it in. Like, type of thing. And to see the athleticism and the talent, Carmelo Anthony, unbelievable. And at that point, I was really like the big bro in the group with Kobe. So Jason Kidd was the eldest. And then you had me and Kobe underneath Jason, and then you had the young guys. And so I remember spending a lot of time with the young guys and just helping them, on and off the court. We would do Bible studies that I would lead, which was a privilege. And all the guys, if they couldn't make it, they would call me and say they wish they could come, but they couldn't make it. But we had an incredible close group. And it was a journey. I think the gold medal was more appreciated because of the journey. All the blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice that we gave for 3 years to lead up to that moment made that moment really, really special.
And it was so much pressure on the USA. Once we got dethroned, it was so much pressure on you guys. The Redeem team, hence the name. You know what I mean? It was an immense amount of pressure, man. So,
it was.
Let me ask you this though. Do you feel like y'all could have got the dream team?
Of course. Of course. And you better believe in yourself.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I mean, our team was really unique. It was built for speed, and it was a different game then. The game was built around the bigs, although Mike was just in the class of himself. But it's still throw it down to Ewing, throw it down to David Robinson, throw it down to Barkley, Karl Malone, right? We were more outside perimeter oriented. And so you had the Melos and LeBrons who could play on the perimeter that could pull the bigs out. It was a different game. And then CP and John Stockton and all those matchups. But I like our team.
And the reason why I would ride with y'all is because where Magic and Bird were in their career.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They were a little past their prime. And you, like you said, you got Kobe in his prime. You got young Bron, young Wade. Yeah. So, I might give y'all the edge. And I know that's almost blasphemous to a lot of people because you got Mike on the team.
Sure.
It's hard to bet against Mike, especially now with the documentary. Speaking of, how you feel about the documentary, The Last Dance?
Oh, well, before I get into that, I got two, things on my shoulders. One is saying, you better pick your team. The other one's like, well, Mike was on that team. But because I was on the team, I gotta say yes.
No question.
Yeah, but it's funny with The Last Dance, man. I know those guys, right? And so I know Mike and I know the Isaiahs and the Barclays. I've spent time with them, man. Quick story about Mike, man. And there's more stories to share about Mike.
Give us a good one. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Mike, I'm playing golf in Florida maybe 3 years ago, and he zips around. And he doesn't see me on the course, and so the clubhouse, I'm on the range hitting balls, and the clubhouse says, "Well, Michael Redd's out there," and Michael comes right back out, and he stops by and he says, "Mike, I didn't know you played golf," and I said, "Yeah." So we talked about 15, 20 minutes, man, and just connected and bonded. And he said, "Whenever you're in Florida, call me, man, so we can go play golf." I said, "Absolutely." But that, and to me, it's like, oh my God, Mike, to this day, it's still Michael Jordan. Like, are you serious? Another quick story.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you
Sure.
this, not to cut you. Did
Yeah.
you play against him
I did.
with the Wizards?
I did, man.
What happened? What happened?
Quick story. All right, let me give you an example. I got two great pictures outside of my family pictures, and this is one of them.
Wow.
That's me guarding Jordan
Wow.
with the Wizards, you
That's
know, and so I'm guarding that far off because they would call foul and everything, right? So
hey, what Magic say on that picture?
You can't get too close to him. So I had a tremendous. I'm in awe on that picture. I'm in awe, like. So, but in Washington, man, I was able, man. Somehow I stripped him and went down and dunked it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I just stripped the greatest player of all time.
You arrived.
But no, I didn't arrive yet. Let me tell you why I didn't arrive. I fouled him. This is when I arrived. I fouled him a couple plays later. Mm-hmm. And he inadvertently elbowed me in the mouth as I'm reaching for the ball, whatever. He looks back at me. He says, Mike, you okay? I said, I'm good, Mike. He said, good. Okay. First of all, I'm like, the dude knows my name. I've arrived.
I'm here.
I'm here. Michael Jordan knows who Michael Redd is. Are
Right.
you kidding me?
Right.
Right? And so, but he was a hard check even at 38-40, 39-40, man. He was incredible. You know, he wasn't Mike of old, but I mean, I felt some of the remnants of what he used to be able to do, man. And it was unbelievable, man. My dad has all the games still on VHS, games that I played. Every game that I ever played in, he's got it on tape. And one of those games was when I played against Mike those times, man. It was one of the great joys of my athletic life, man. By far, playing against that dude. The dude that you looked up to, I was wearing the shoes in the game. And it's almost like when you were guarding Ty, you were like, I don't even want to foul. I don't even want to do anything wrong with him because he's my guy. You know, and because I remember one game we were playing in Washington. Ray was getting cooked. Ray Allen was getting cooked by Jordan a little bit. Mm-hmm. And George Karl was like, Ray, get in there and guard Jordan. I was like, really? So
straight into the fire.
Oh, man.
Into the fire.
Unbelievable experience, man. Unbelievable experience.
All right, so we're gonna go from Mike to Kobe. Give me a Kobe story. And like I said, I'm a boast on you again. I seen you give me 45. I know Kobe is Kobe, but you got one up on him that night.
Kobe is the greatest competitor I ever played against. By far. I went to Milwaukee in February, and they graced me with this picture, man, of me and Kobe, man. And it really is symbolic of how close we were. Off camera, like a lot of people had on camera relationships with me, but I had a relationship with him off camera. And we were actually looking to do some endeavors together. We talked last summer through text, and we're looking to do some things. So it was a really devastating moment for his life to be lost in Gigi's life.
Rest in peace to him, man. Rest in peace
Absolutely,
to him,
man.
The families that were
involved. Yeah, we used to do everything together, man. The greatest competitor I ever played against. Got a story about Iverson as well. But Kobe was if you didn't bring it against him, you were finished that night. There was no time off. I remember we played in LA, and I think it was to the advice of Ray, actually. Like, just play off of him a little bit, it was the worst mistake of my life.
You gave him a gap.
The first 3 minutes of the game, he had like 2 or 4 threes on me. I said, it's going to be a long night. And so I either had great games against him or I had bad games. And bad games for me was like 15 or below, 15 points or below, sometimes 20 below. But it was going to be a war. And I had great games. I had poor games against Kobe. He blocked my dunk one time. I had a crazy idea of trying to dunk on this dude. It was a 2-on-1 fast break. Desmond Mason, who was the leaper, dunker on one wing. And I get the steal. And I said, this is my moment. Took off one leg, blocked it with 2 hands. I said, what a mistake. Right? What a mistake. And with him, man, you had to be cerebral. You had to think. So I wasn't as athletic as he was. Mm-hmm. In fact, we played the Lakers my first time as a starter in Milwaukee. We played the Lakers. So now I'm the franchise. The responsibility is on me. I got to guard Kobe all night. Mm-hmm. He does the Michael Jordan fadeaway jump shot. And I promise you, I jumped to contest the shot. His foot hits my armpit, like right here. Wow. That's how high he jumped, man. No exaggeration. I was like, wait a minute. This is another level of athleticism. Just another level. And so he was 6'7", man, like 6'7", and had a 40+ inch vertical. Like he was crazy.
Kobe was different, man. Kobe was so different, man.
Different.
So let me ask you this, because I know you're not much of a talker. Did he talk to you, or he didn't talk?
No.
So if he was one of those guys, he's going to engage you if you engage. Like if you're a talker, he's going to talk to you. Was he one of those guys, or he just smelled blood in the water?
He from the time I started playing, he had a respect for me. And we watch college guys, right, in the NBA. So we're watching the guys that's coming into the league. And I think he had tremendous respect for me even in college, probably, because the way he gravitated to me from when I was playing was unique, because he was very standoffish to a lot of the guys at that time. He became warmer as he retired and later in his career, but he was really isolated a lot in his career and from guys. But he gravitated to me, man. And even in the All-Star game in 2004, man, he contested my shot that would win the game for us.
Yeah, I remember that.
But he grabbed me and hugged me and like grabbed my head, man. He's like, "I'm so proud of you," type of thing. But we wrestled one time, I believe in 2007. We were wrestling under the rim for a rebound. And he says, "Mike, be careful." And I'm like, "I'm not going anywhere." Like, but that was it. That was the extent. He never talked trash to me. We had, after every game, we would go hug each other. Good or bad. He win, I win, we would go hug each other, man. And just the greatest competitor, man. I gotta give a shout out to AI too, man. So
tell me an AI story. Go ahead.
We played Philly 4 times in 1 year, beginning of the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
And so after the series is over, Mo Williams comes over to me and says, "Hey, Mike, man, you played well against Philly. You averaged 36 points a game." I said, "Word. Okay." He said, "The problem is AI averaged 48. I said, "Oh, man."
What?
I said,
in 4 games?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to play off of him like so far.
Yeah, he was too quick, man.
It was too quick. And so I'm still minus 12. With him at 48.
Imagine that you averaging 36 in the series and you down 12.
Down 12. Because AI was literally that great of a player and that fast.
Yeah.
LeBron is got to be up there for sure.
Let me stop you before we go to Brian.
Sure.
Before we go to Brian, do you remember this? I worked your camp your year. I never forget this. I worked your camp, and you had the Q&A with the kids, and Eric Snow was there. So one of the kids says that, "Are you going to go to the Cavs?" And Eric Snow was like, "Come on." He got all the kids riled up to try to get you to go there. I'm sorry. Somebody was calling in. But obviously, you stayed, you did the right thing. But, man, if you were to play with LeBron, I think he never goes to Miami. And I think y'all get a championship or 2 together. Now, this is my honest. Somebody keeps calling. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What do you feel about that?
You're fine. No, we talked about that, man. So at that time, it was a little old school in the fact that I'd rather beat you than join you mentality.
Absolutely.
Right. If I never win a championship, I'm going down with the ship with my franchise.
Yep.
Now today is different. Obviously, the game is different. But back then, there was more pride in being with a franchise for your whole career. You look at Reggie Miller, you look at Kobe, Dirk Nowitzki, there's Tim Duncan. They played on one team their whole career. And that was my goal. And also, like, let's see if we can win a chip. Now we didn't. We went to the playoffs, but it's interesting. Me and LeBron have talked about that during that time frame, and we talked about what if, and then that kind of spurred him to now go to Miami to join, D Wade and Chris Bosh. But my mentality was like, and LeBron was uber athletic at that time, but he wasn't who he is now.
Yep.
He's a totally different player than he was when he was at that age. And it was like, no, I think our team, and I want to be able to lead a franchise. And I had the perspective of like, I'm a second round pick that has a chance to lead a franchise. That's trailblazing big time moment.
Right? Let's talk about that real quick. Can you explain to me and the viewers, like, what kind of pressure is that? Especially like you coming from the humblest of beginnings of coming from, you know, a second round pick. And then honestly, you know, you got one of the best shooting guards ahead of you. They get rid of him for you. What was your thoughts, man? Like, what kind of pressure came with that?
I talked to Ray the other day, actually. I talked to him Monday.
Shout out to Ray Allen.
Yeah, Ray Allen for sure, man. Big bro, mentor of mine, man. You know, it was one of the saddest times of my career, actually, besides my injuries, because me and him were rolling, and we had such a good brotherhood, man. And when he got traded, man, he was in the hotel. He's crying. I'm sad. And I'm like, man, what are we doing with our best player? Why are we trading our best player? And I remember George Carl coming up to me. He said, you know why we traded Ray Allen? I said, no, why? He said, it's your time. I said, whoa. So it's paradoxical, man. Like one moment I'm sad, and then the other end I'm like, wow, it's here. You know, it didn't happen 4 years ago, but I stuck with it, and now it's my time.
Yep.
And that was a remarkable time. And Ray to this day is so proud of me. Kobe said something in the documentary. He says when you see me, you see Ray,
Mike.
or see Mike. And so it's kind of like that with me and Ray. When you saw me, you kind of see Ray, you know, as far as that mentorship. I used to spend the night over at Ray's house, him and his wife's house all the time. And just, he gave me free George all the time and just took care of me. And I was his little brother, man. And he calls me up to this day. And we have that relationship and that bond, man. And then, you know, quick story, man. And Mike Thornton can attest to this because Mike T was rolling with me at that time, heavy. We are at the All-Star game in Atlanta in 2003. And me and Mike are in the bleachers. Like, we're up in the nosebleeds a little bit. That's where my tickets were. And I looked at Mike. I said, man, I'm going to be in this game one day. I said, I promise you, I'm watching Mike's last All-Star game. I'm watching all the festivities. And I was so driven, man, in that moment. I said, Mike, man, I'm going to be in this game one day. He's like, you will. The very next year, I was in the game.
In L.A.
All-Star game. In
I
LA.
was in junior college in California. I was so hyped, man. You can't even imagine.
I got the call, man. I'm in the back of the bus in Houston. We ready to play the Rockets and T-Mac and the boys. And so I get the call, man. And our GM was like, everybody walked on the bus and he stopped me. He's like, you made a team. I said, oh, my God. I'm an all-star, right? And it's like, you look at the journey, what we talked about earlier, an hour ago, from Hilltop and the West Side and representing Columbus to like now being an NBA All-Star, All-NBA League performer. It was like, I get goosebumps to this day because it's all been a dream. So that was a unique time, man.
So beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So let me ask you this. Let me get a LeBron story out of you, and then I want to transition into like what you're doing now. And we can just touch on that.
So preseason, we get the schedules. Summertime, we get the set schedule, right, on what the season's going to be like. And so we got Cleveland and Lakers back-to-back on the schedule. I'm like, boy, oh, boy. So we played in Cleveland one night, and the next night we played the Lakers. And I'm like, man. And so we wound up – I had them circled that summer.
Shout out everybody in here, man. Shout out for rocking with us, man. Hope y'all enjoying this. Appreciate everybody in here. Hope y'all enjoying this interview, man. Let's see if Mike ain't here yet. Nah, he ain't there yet. Appreciate y'all. Rick, my dog, appreciate you, bro. WCBL. Beast Mode Training. Aaron Butt. Classy Red, shout out. Appreciate you, bro. Just waiting on Mike to get back in here, man. Tyler, appreciate you. There he is. Small world, JC, Johnny Clark. Okay, we back to live back.
JC.
Johnny Clark.
My guy. Who trained me. Who trained with me.
Yeah,
towards
that's
the end of my
he
career.
one of the GOATs, man. He had
For sure.
that J ready.
For sure. For sure. He could not shoot me, but he could shoot very well.
Let us know.
Inside joke. Inside joke. He knows. Inside joke.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, you were saying about the Brown story. What's your Brown story?
Yeah, man. I mean, I got a ton of Brown stories, but like just so challenging to guard because of how big he was.
Yeah.
And his rookie year, he grabbed me in the warm-up line because he was so happy to be in the league, and like he had followed me at Ohio State, being an Ohio kid and whatnot. And from there, man, it's been a great relationship, man. He was the first person I hugged when we won the gold medal. We were the first people to hug when we won the gold medal in 2008. And but yeah, playing against Kobe and LeBron on back-to-back nights.
The work
We
cut
won.
out for you.
So you weren't going to stop LeBron, but you know the goal was just to try to win, and we won that game, ironically in Cleveland. And then the next night on the back-to-back, we had Kobe. So I had to guard LeBron, and I had to guard Kobe on back-to-back nights. And they had their numbers. They had 30-something, and Kobe had 27 or something like that the next night. But it was a tall task, man. But I was able to play well, and we won. And but yeah, man, LeBron was just a specimen. He's special, and just a unique dude, man.
That's what's up, man. I just be so happy, yo. At that time, it meant so much. Like you said, just going, having friends from bigger cities, and you got like, man, one of my dudes from my city that I know is top 10 in the league, and a dude who I came up with, you know, competing against and around is top 10 in the league. He's from Ohio, and this dude is from my city, so you know that was the hanging point, you know, for us. So, man, y'all was really representing, man, for real.
It was surreal, Tyhan. It was like the heights that God took me to, man, in my career was like, wow. I never saw this. Like I saw myself in the league with the level of success and things that we were able to accomplish. It blew my mind. And the people that I became close with, the relationships, I meet all my heroes, Magic, Oscar Robertson, Kareem, you know, Bird. I mean, you name them. I met them all and spent time with them, man. And it was like, wow, this is surreal.
So that's where I want to go next, man. Two things, man. Your faith and your business, man. Your business acumen and how you transition. First and foremost, I'll tell a quick story. It was maybe about 4 or 5 years ago when you had the wave.
Yeah.
I happened to pop in there one night, man.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, here you are delivering the word, a powerful word. And man, the same feeling that I had, you know, looking up to you as a hooper, playing against you, you always embraced me. You always gave me love with my game. And it was like that same feeling again, us both sharing the same walk, you know, spiritually, and seeing you lead in that capacity. You know what I mean? Really giving the word and really having people of all different walks in there and really letting God use you like that, man. That was incredible, man. When did you know you were called to minister the word?
Ministry. You know what? It just the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. My dad played ball and he became a pastor in ministry, and both him and my mom have been in ministry for almost 40 years. So it was bound to happen at some point. Yep. So always had an incredible love affair with God, walking with God, and you know, really wanted to lead in the space that I was in athletics, and see people come to Christ, man. So that was the whole motivation, even while I was in the NBA, to be a light in that environment. But as far as ministry, man, when I was 23, I think I ministered my first message, man. And so from that point on, you know, we established the ministry back in 08. But we were having youth conferences in the city at that time. We were renting out the Schottenstein Center. We were the LC Pavilion at the time. We were renting that out and just having droves of people from Columbus to come and be spiritually touched and inspired. And so yeah, we've had the ministry for 12 years. And you came one night, man, and had an incredible night, man, of just time with God and worship and things of that nature. And so, yeah, man, I no longer do the day-to-day of the ministry. Danny Ortiz, who's my brother, is overseeing it now.
And I met him. He's a cool dude, man.
Yeah. I oversee it, but he runs the day-to-day and is our executive pastor and doing an incredible job. But yeah, it was an incredible journey. While I was playing, I was planning on how can we help people in Columbus? How can we help people in Milwaukee? And those who know me know that I was obsessed with seeing people touched and people inspired, not with just my game, but also with the message of the gospel, at the same time. So that was it for me, man. And to this day, it's the same thing. Even as part of the transition from the ministry was to actually begin to devote myself fully to the business world. And so towards the end of my career, it began to dawn upon me it's going to end at some point, especially having 2 knee surgeries. I tore my ACL in 2009 on a fluke play on someone's foot, Luke Rittenauer's foot when I was playing. And then I tore it again in 2010 playing against Kobe actually in LA. And we both were like hurt by it, so that derailed my career, but it was setting me up for greater things. I didn't see that at that time though. Because your career is like, wow, I'm still, in the prime of my career, but God had other plans for me, and it took me a while to see that. Actually, though, I was in a deep depression.
Just to interject real quick, I just got
done.
I try to read the word once through every year, and I just got done with the book of Job, and it just talks. And Job is so long and depressing until you get to the end, and you remember like what God had in store for him that whole time. He gave you double for everything you went through. And that sounds like some kind of like what you went through in that situation.
Sure, man. Double the peace, double the time with my family. There was so much good that came out of my retirement. But it was still a difficult transition because most times, change and transition is an issue for people. And
Can I stop you one more
time?
I hate to listen. I just in preparation to talk to you today, I just stumbled upon the Bleacher Report piece that came out on you today.
Oh yeah.
So look, I'm reading it. And you're talking about the very same thing, right? So I got a couple quotes, and I posted one on Facebook. It was just powerful to me. But you were talking about your transition. I'll let you get back to it, but I just want to share with everybody listening. This is one of your quotes you got on there. You said, humility is key as you transition. Just because you are an expert as a professional in one space, it doesn't mean that you're that in another space. Putting yourself around people who are smarter than you is important. But the transition psychologically is a great challenge for a lot of people because those skill sets that you had, they never go away. The body gets older, but your mind and your skills are still there. That was incredible to me. It was another one that I didn't post. Oh, and this part as well. And I went through this in my own life too, so it just hit home. You said, so basketball was not my identity. It was something that I did. I enjoyed it. I loved it with all my heart, but that wasn't the extent of what I could be and who I become for the next 50 years after basketball. Touch on that, man. That was some powerful stuff right there, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for saying that, Tyron, man. It's true. What you do is not who you are, and I think a lot of times we get that kind of mixed up. We're a lot of times performance driven. If I do this, then that's who I am. And that wasn't the case for me, and it shouldn't be the case for anybody. Your identity comes from the Father, comes from God, and He affirms you. And then after He affirms you, then He asks you to perform. And a lot of times we want to perform before we're affirmed. And so for me, I was affirmed at a very young age. My natural father affirmed me. And then obviously our Heavenly Father affirmed me that I don't have to be attached to what I do. And so a lot of times, a lot of players, when they leave and retire from the game, it's very, very challenging for them because they attach themselves as that. And so it's hard to walk away, and it's already naturally hard to walk away because you did it for 30 years and whatnot. But for me, I looked at the NBA as Harvard. Most people who attend Harvard never go backwards in life, right? So for me, it was a stepping stone. It wasn't the pinnacle. What is the pinnacle? I don't think there is a pinnacle. I think you just keep going, right? And no one who makes history is trying to make history. So you're just going. You're just going, you're being led. by the Spirit, led by God, and whoever touches it touches. So basketball to me was not the end all be all. There were more facets to me, more to explore, more things to accomplish in life beyond just putting the ball through the hoop. And I don't diminish that at all. It was an incredible platform that began to launch me into other endeavors.
That's incredible. I hope y'all taking notes. No, that's incredible, man. That's big time, man. Yeah, man. So
you think about time, I mean, we're human beings, not human doings, right?
say that
And so
again. Say that
we're
again, man.
we're human beings and not human doings. And so we've got to learn how to just be and rest in the identity that God gives us. And then from there, that can translate into any space. It could be whatever, right? And it morphs, and you can continue to evolve and trust transition more because of who you are.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Man, that's incredible. That's incredible. I low key want to stay in this vein. No, you speaking, man. That's the Holy Spirit speaking through you, man. 100. So, but I do want to touch on the business side, man.
Sure.
On the business side, touch on, you know, the space that you're in with the venture capital and your investments, and how you got started and some of the things you're looking to do. I know some of the things, but share it with everybody that's in here.
Yeah, I think the core value of that is really to help people. I'm looking to trailblaze in a sense in the venture world and get access to monies that aren't always available and accessible, and particularly to minorities.
Yep.
Right. So I want to be able to tap into a level of wealth to not just begin to have my life change again and enjoy material things, but actually help more people. You know, I think if you think about the body of Christ, Stephen, I think the body of Christ is too poor for vision.
Nah, for real.
Right. We need finances, and we need wealth to be able to go in and help nations and help our inner cities and help. We need wealth, right? Yep. So wealth moves the needle in our society, not culpability.
Yep.
So the whole purpose of this venture in business is to begin to access levels of wealth to help more people, hire more people, give access to more people. So about 7 years ago, I decided to get into high structured finance in the venture world, which is really professional investing, and give startups an opportunity beyond going to a bank for a loan. You can go to a venture capitalist and get an investment for your startup, your project. So I got into that. I love to see people's dreams come true. So that really intrigued me. I love tech. I love what's happening in technology, and how even now the cross-pollination between tech and sports is really becoming a big deal now. And so that was intriguing to me, and seeing how the markets are growing within the sports tech world. And then became an angel investor as well, as far as just investing into people more than even projects. I love investing in people more than projects and products. So I became intrigued with that, man, that whole world, and really wanting to be a mentor to entrepreneurs. And so things evolved over the years, and became a partner in a fund out west called Third Wave Digital, and then became a mentor in Snapchat's incubator over the last couple of years, which has been powerful. And then became a venture partner in the Advantage Sports Tech Fund, which is founded by the Adidas family, ironically. I was a Nike guy my whole career, and now I'm working with the Adidas family, actually, man. And it's been incredible, man. I have my own firm, which is called 22 Ventures. And so it's an acquisition entrepreneurship play where I am looking to get companies that are really doing well, but just have dated branding, dated systems, POS systems, CRM systems, and bring them into automation. So these are companies that have been around for 20, 30, 40 years, and the owners now are looking to retire. Yeah, bring them in. Yeah, exactly. So we're working on that project and a couple other projects in California. So I'm not busy for the sake of being busy, but I am trying to be deliberate and be productive with my time now, because I have a wife and I have kids that need daddy's time and her husband's time, and that is success to me, Taihan. That any young man that I mentor, I always deal with that aspect first of the definition of success. I think we have to redefine what success is. Success to me is that my wife trusts me with her heart, and that kids love daddy. Wow. That's success.
That's
to
winning.
me.
You winning.
Like, we confuse success and achievement, right? And so, yes, I've been able to achieve a lot of things, but at the end of the day, true success is that, you know, my wife and I are one accord, and my kids love their daddy. So I don't want success or achievement.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hey, I hope y'all taking notes, man. Don't confuse success with achievement, man. Go ahead, man. Keep speaking, man.
I refuse, man. I remember Greg Popovich called me from the Spurs the year I decided to retire, and he calls me. He's like, "Man, we want you to play, for our team." The Cavaliers had called too, and this is when I was at a point I was going to retire, and so I talked to my agent about it. I said, "Let me talk to my family about it first," and then I went to talk to my wife about it, and I talked to my son, and my son was 5 years old at the time, and he started crying. And he had gotten so used to daddy being home, he didn't want me to leave. And I called my agent and said, "It's an easy decision. Tell the Spurs and Cavs I'm no longer interested. I'm retired." He's like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." And the Spurs wound up winning the championship that year in 14. No regrets, though.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it was more important for me to be home with my son at a pivotal time in his life and be with my family.
Yep.
So we got to redefine what success is.
Absolutely, and that another notch of love and respect that I just gave for you that quick, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
For real, man. That means everything, man. And
thank you, brother.
I'm with that. You got to redefine success, man. You know, the people that's close in my circle, I preach the same things, bro. We on the same wavelength for sure.
Yes, sir. You got it, man. You got it, brother. Like, at the end of the day, on my epitaph, I want them to say he loved God, his wife loved him, and his kids loved him. That's it at the end of the day.
Yep. That's what's up. Well, I ain't gonna hold you too much longer, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I do want to say this, man. At some point, we got to orchestrate it. We do the Kingdom Summer League. Like I said, it's my baby for real. It was a way for me to use my impact and my influence in the game that I love to first put the spotlight on the kingdom of God. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost. Secondly, kind of rebuild the culture of the game here in Columbus and build a platform for our players to get better, to showcase themselves, like you said, gain that name, gain that reputation, build bonds, and togetherness in our city, and have an event that our city. And for the people in here, you can say if I'm lying. I feel like it's a thing to do in the summer that everybody loves, and I'm proud of that. And I'm thankful for that. All that said, we do a thing where we do two things. We do a Hood Award, and Hood stands for helping others out daily, and we do a Legend Award. And I definitely want to at some point get you a Legend Award, man. Like you said, like I said from the jump, you the GOAT to me, man. So we might give you the GOAT Award. So
I have to laugh, man. I appreciate you saying that, man. Nah, man, I appreciate the flowers, brother. I do, man. And again, there were so many great players: Bo Lamar, Nick Connors, Ed Ratliff. You got Brian Williams, Herb Williams, Mike Stahl. You got Jerry Francis at West High School. You had so many great players over the years. Pete Williams, Torrey Kershaw. You got, on and on and on, great players throughout the years. And I'm just privileged to be one of them, man, and be a son of the city. But would love to, man. Love to receive that, man. And just proud of you, man, for you continuing on the legacy and all that you do in the city, man, and being a light. You are a terrific talent yourself, man. And, I'm sure you have been a hero and an example to the younger generation. So we're just passing it on. That's all we're doing, brother. That's all we're doing.
Man, so, nothing but love.
We got to connect, man. Let's connect after this, man. Seriously.
We will, man. And shout out to Josh, too. Shout out to your guy, Josh, man, for everything he's doing.
Yeah. That's my guy, man.
Yes, sir.
Got a great team, man. Absolutely.
Yes, much love and respect. I thank you for your time, man. We love you.
Thank you, brother.
City love you. I appreciate
you. Love you back, man. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, team.
All right.
All right, man.